go to the last video of this broadcast, it's actually really unbelievable to see what you will see now. This has nothing to do with journalism, it's just attacking. It's attacking and lying, that's what it is.
The death toll in Israel is now over 1,200 people. In Gaza, 1,500 have reportedly lost their lives since Hamas terrorists massacred innocent civilians. They targeted young people at a music festival, the elderly at home, babies in their cots. I'm joined now by Palestinian activist and author Dr. Randa Abdel Fattah. Doctor, thank you so much for joining me. What is your reaction to what occurred in Israel on Saturday?
I wasn't surprised. Anybody who's been paying attention to the suffering of Palestinians now would know that there is no people who can withstand the kind of intense subjugation and oppression, ethnic cleansing, settler colonialism that they have, and just acquiesce to their suffering and oppression. At some point, Palestinians, like all people, are going to demand freedom and resist occupation, and they have tried every avenue of political means, every avenue of peaceful resistance, and every single step has been blockaded to them. Particularly in Gaza, when you have a 16 years siege, land, sea, water, blockade, the United Nations said that it would be uninhabitable by 2020, and it's 2023 now. So those conditions are a powder keg, and every Palestinian has been saying for years now, this is an unsustainable situation for Palestinians. So there was no surprise at what has happened, just extreme tragedy that we have allowed this to happen as an international community because of the lack of will to start imposing international law and treat Israel as a state that should not be afforded the luxury of impunity in the way that it subjugates Palestinians and oppresses them.
You say one of the reasons for the atrocities that occurred in Israel on Saturday is the oppression of Palestinian people. Do you separate Hamas from Palestine?
No, I think it's a question that doesn't really make sense because...
Well, Hamas is a terrorist organisation, that's how we identify them there. And there are innocent Palestinians, absolutely, that have suffered, as have there been innocent Israelis that have suffered. But Hamas is a terrorist organisation.
What's the function of your question, though? What we need to talk about the cause of this here. A lot of media and analysts keep making this about Hamas versus Israel. Let's get back to the nature of who is Israel. It is a state that was imposed on a majority indigenous population through ethnic cleansing, through massacres, through depopulation and refugee crisis. It's a settler colony, it's an apartheid state by every human rights organisation in the world. Hamas does not represent all of Palestinians, but every single Palestinian, whether from the West Bank, from Gaza, the refugees, the Israeli Arabs who are discriminated against, are all wanting freedom and liberation.
Okay, there has been violence from both sides over many...
Well, it gets stuck, and this is the place, this is the moment when the argue would start, so I hope it will work again, so then I can show you. They go quite harsh towards each other. But about the fact that Hamas is a terrorist organization, I mean, it's not a fact, it's a Western perspective. Why should Hamas be a terrorist organization? First of all, the stories about 7 October, about beheading babies, for example, are not true. Even the Israeli newspaper Haaretz did research to the happenings of that day, and many of the stories are made up, like sexual violence, beheading babies. You know, it's to win the public opinion in the West against their genocidal war. Even Joe Biden said first that he never saw a baby beheaded until now. He claimed he saw that, but a few days later the White House corrected that he didn't see it. It was an Israeli minister who told him that, and that was a clearly lie. So Hamas didn't do that, and the Palestinian people have the right to resist as they are under siege and under occupation. Even according to international law, you have the right to resist. You have the right to start a war actually when you are blockaded. So Gaza is blockaded, and Hamas has every right to start a war according to international law.
Many years.
Wrong.
Absolutely, there has
We
been.
go.
Both sides
Not equal.
over many
It's
years.
not a situation of
What occurred on Saturday by Hamas was beyond anything we have ever seen before. There is no way you can sit there and not condemn the actions of Hamas. Do you condemn the beheading of babies?
First of all, the beheading story has been actually refuted by Israeli authorities, so you are repeating or propagating propaganda.
It has not been refuted by Israeli authorities.
Yes, it has.
The US, Blinken is there, he has seen
No.
verified images. There are independent journalists who have verified the existence of images of babies who have been beheaded and burnt babies.
Burnt
Are you
babies.
trying to say that is propaganda?
Yeah, I am, because actually today that image of a burnt baby was exposed as AI intelligence. And can I just say something? Let's say that these atrocities were committed, which are of course must be condemned and are atrocities. Let's say that they were committed, and we know that atrocities were committed. Why is it that only Jewish babies matter? Why is it that you're only taking an interest now?
No.
Why did the clock start on October 7th when babies have literally been murdered and massacred?
You were on
and there are
Q&A
videos-
2 years ago. The
Only
fight has been
because-
covered for years
No.
and years.
I was on Q&A only because there were rockets fired into Israel. Come bring me onto your show when Palestinians are being displaced from their homes, when they are being
that is happening right now.
when settlers are
Israel
burning.
is retaliating. They are telling civilians to get out. They are not doing what Hamas did to them.
Are you telling me that white phosphorus on Gaza at the moment is acceptable? It's a war crime. That displacement
You want to
of
talk about war
populations,
crimes?
even the way
Do you want to talk about the rape of innocent women? What happened on Saturday, you must condemn.
I've already condemned it. Why are you questioning my humanity here? Do you think I'm a monster that I would
You
not
have in
condemn
the
this?
past, you have defended Hamas in the past. You have also sat in a panel with a Hamas terrorist. You have also retweeted a tweet that is calling for the destruction of Israel. Do you want Israel eradicated? I've looked at your past. I am asking you because you have said and done things in the past. Do you stand by
It's
them?
so nasty.
What you're saying here is nonsense. You are
How is
trying
that
to-
nonsense?
Because
I am
I'm trying to paint Palestinians and me, people who are just demanding basic dignity
I am-
and freedom. You
I
are
have
ignoring.
immense sympathy for innocent Palestinian
The way that-
civilians. I shed tears when I saw kids in hospital in Gaza that were the victim of this. I
God
feel
bless white
do not
women's
question.
tears. God bless white women's tears.
And
Where
now
were your
now
tears?
you're attacking my
Yes,
race.
where were your tears last
My tears have
or the year
existed for
before?
any atrocity that has occurred to any child in
Then
the world.
why did- then
I've
why-
got you on here to ask you about Hamas, about
Why?
those atrocities. I have acknowledged
But why haven't you-
Palestinian suffering.
Why aren't
But I
you
am here to
asking
talk
about
about
the-
what Hamas did to Israeli
I have already
babies.
addressed that, and I said if we are going
You're
to stop,
justifying
not
it.
letting
How
me
can
talk.
you justify it?
I did not justify anything.
You said
I
the
said-
reason Saturday occurred is because your people have been oppressed. If your people have
Do you
been
know what
oppressed,
justif-
if they are occupied, wage a war. If you feel justified in waging a war, fight Israeli soldiers with guns. Don't behead babies. You're laughing at me.
Because you do realize that there is a siege in Gaza where not even food is allowed in.
The Israeli government
don't
is
have-
sending out warnings
we
to
don't-
civilians. Yes, this is their retaliation.
Are you here to scream
from
at me or
Saturday.
interview me?
I'm not screaming at you at all,
You
but
are.
I also can't let you spout things on here that I
You're not
don't.
letting me
This is
talk.
my show. Okay, talk.
Okay, so can I talk? First of all, you're saying, why don't we fight Israeli soldiers? You do realize that Palestinians are under military occupation.
Absolutely.
You do realize that there is a siege there. We do not have a standing army. You do realize that Israel is armed to the teeth. Talk to me about that. Talk to me about the settler violence that happens on a daily basis, the murder of Palestinian children by Israelis. Talk to me about occupation. Talk to me about the siege on Gaza. It is uninhabitable. Water that is not drinkable, and yet Israeli settlers and Israelis enjoy swimming pools. They enjoy the accessing free water.
If you genuinely feel aggrieved, and I acknowledge there are people on both sides who genuinely feel
It's
aggrieved.
not-
My heart breaks for you. Yeah.
I'm coming here as someone.
Do you condemn
who
Hamas
is-
then? Tell me
I
that.
have already said that I condemn the violence that Hamas
But Hamas as an
and it should be
organisation,
held
a
to
terrorist
account.
organisation, will you condemn
I don't
them?
see them as a terrorist organisation
Did you not see the vision of them shooting down people like animals, and you will not condemn the organisation that perpetrated that violence on innocent people?
What is the purpose of a terrorist label here? Then let's talk about Israel's terrorism against Palestinians. Israel is the occupying power. It is the settler colony. It is the one that has the international human rights organizations declaring that it is practicing apartheid here. Why are we not focusing on the perpetrators of violence here? And why are we focusing on the victim, on the occupied?
I think the Jews understand oppression better than anyone. I want to show you this image from Monday night at the rally and what was said at this pro-Palestinian rally. Take a look. They say, F the Jews and gas the Jews.
I didn't hear anything.
You're telling me you haven't seen or heard any of those images?
I've seen those images, and I heard that there was a tiny minority who said F the Jews, which is disgusting.
It has been condemned.
It has been condemned. It was a small minority. It was the majority of the protesters, including Jewish activists there, have said that it was a majority peaceful protest.
I'm questioning the right of Hamas, an organisation you will not condemn as a group, of killing innocent babies, children, women. You retweeted a tweet that said Israel does not have a right to exist.
Correct. No state legally has a right to exist, Erin. That is a creative way that Israel is trying to justify its settler occupation. There's actually no legal.
Israel does not have a right to exist.
Yes.
That says to me you are saying eradicate Israel. Are you saying that's not the case?
First of all, states do not, under law, have a right to exist.
So this is a technical, legal.
Don't tell me that we are not interested in getting to the root cause of this matter. Bring international law in. Let them investigate Hamas, but let them investigate Israel too.
I condemn any violence on any side that kills innocent civilians every day of the week. Read my column in the Daily Telegraph today. I wrote about that. I said Israel must follow the rules of war, despite the crimes and the atrocities committed against them by Hamas. And I stand by that. I condemn violence against anyone that is innocent.
The only way Israel is going to be able to follow the rules of law is if it is denied the impunity in which the international community has given it, and if politicians and the media start doing their jobs. It's not complicated.
You have had a fair say, and I thank you very much for coming on my show. Thank you.
Well, that was quite astonishing. You know, it's this has nothing to do with journalism. It's only do you condemn Hamas? Hamas, Hamas, Hamas. Nobody asked, do you condemn the fact that Israel is blocking food, water, and medicines to come into Gaza? If journalists did their work, the public opinion in the West would be different. It would be far more against the war. It would show far more empathy towards the Palestinian suffering, which will make it for the government far more difficult to support the genocidal war. That's what it is. And if they don't support it, it would be far more difficult for Israel to continue it. It's now about 110 days or something. It's really. I mean, I don't know what to say. Anyways, this was it for today. It didn't go perfect, but I hope to make improvements, and I hope you enjoyed, even though it was not an enjoyable video. But I hope you picked up something. I hope it was interesting enough. I will fix my internet connection, and I will see you soon. Thank you for watching, and I see you next time.